uses for tarot. So in traditional senses, we generally understand tarot to be used for asking questions for guidance, to understand certain things, and on the odd occasion for telling the future. Just a side note on the fortune telling side of tarot, this is not something that everybody has the capability of doing. This is a very specific gift given to very specific people. So I'm not going to be covering fortune telling or foreseeing the future in this video for that specific reason. That's a video I'll be covering at a later stage. So let's get straight into it and let's have a look at the multiple uses for tarot. So as you can see up on the board, I have a number of different uses here. The tarot is a phenomenal tool that has so many diverse uses. You really can take it for a journey on multiple different avenues. So let's get started with the first item on our list, meditation. How do we use tarot for meditation? Very simple. In meditation, it's quite helpful to have a set intention for your meditation practice. So coming into your meditation practice and bringing the tarot into that, you can either choose to intuitively pick a card, so you're just drawing a card intuitively or randomly from your set, or if you know what specific intention you want to have, perhaps you want to focus on how you can nurture yourself better or how to show more self-love to yourself, then choosing something like the Empress card as your focus point for your meditation would work really well. Perhaps you're trying to cultivate more discipline or more structure, more routine. Your Emperor card could be a really good combination, a really good option for that. If you're looking to perhaps explore your physical body and perhaps you dealing with a couple of ailments, maybe you've got a lot of aches and pains in your body, maybe there's some illness that you're struggling to shift, picking a card from your suit of pentacles could work really well. So with regards to meditation, it's all about choosing a card that's going to align to the intention that you're setting for your meditation. As I say, you can draw this intuitively if you don't have a specific intention in mind, which is perfectly okay. But if you do have a specific intention, look through your set and find a card that resonates with that intention that you're trying to focus on. And what you simply do is you make that card your focal point for your meditation. So this would be what we call a focused meditation. So have the card up in your meditation space so that it's directly in front of you. It's kind of blocking out the view of anything else that could distract you, and that card becomes your sole focus. Ideally, you want to do this as an open-eyed meditation, but you can, after observing the card for a few minutes, perhaps close your eyes and hold that image of the card in your mind. And it's all about just sitting with the card and allowing whatever to come through to just flow naturally. I do recommend journaling afterwards, just to keep some notes. But meditation, you're combining your meditation practice with tarot is something really, truly powerful. Using journaling in your tarot practice. Journaling comes in really handy with regards to tarot practice and helping you to look back on previous readings. A lot of the time when, especially with your readings being very intuitive based, you'll have this really beautiful intuitive flow and you'll have all this information coming through and you'll get to the end of your reading and all of it will be nice and fresh in your mind. You get to the end of the day, however, and you're like, what was that reading all about again? So journaling with your tarot practice is really handy. But in this respect, we're using the tarot as a journaling prompt. So how that works, again, you can draw a card intuitively to pick your card for the day that you're going to be journaling about. Or you can look through your set and find one that resonates with the specific work that you're looking to do at that time. So perhaps you're looking to do some exploration around your core values and your core morals, and perhaps you're looking to establish yourself a little bit more about who you are, what's important to you, what's not important to you. Your Lover's card would be a really good card to journal with. So it's all about just pulling that card out and, similar to meditation, in just focusing on that card for a few minutes or for as long as you need, and focusing on the card, looking at the colors, looking at the imagery, looking at the different symbols, and feeling what comes through for that card, and allow yourself to just start journaling. With this type of journaling, you don't want to think about it too much. So we're kind of delving a little bit into what we call automatic writing. So in other words, you're allowing the words to just flow freely through you. So you're using each card as a different prompt for something to journal about or to journal with. Your devil card would be really great if you're looking to explore your shadow work and you're wanting to journal about your shadow work. So pulling out your devil card, having a look at him, spending some time with him, feeling what's coming up for you, what shadow stuff is coming up for you. Is there very specific things that seem to be triggering right now? And it's just about journaling through all of that. So journaling with the tarot really is a powerful medium. Using the tarot for guidance. This is probably the most common use for tarot, or the one that most of us are familiar with. And this is very much as simple as asking specific questions that we're looking for insight or understanding or guidance into. And allowing your either a free flow reading to come through, so drawing your cards intuitively as you would in a normal guidance reading. Guidance readings, you can have either a full spread, if it's quite a big subject that you're looking at, or a subject that has a few different multiple facets to it. So it's all about picking the right spread for yourself. Sometimes in guidance, all we need is just a single card. We don't need to draw 3, 4, or 5, or even 10 cards. We literally just need to draw a single card. So in ensuring you have a question or an area to look at, what are you seeking guidance on, and being very clear on that, and then sourcing the right type of spread for you. If you can't find a spread that works, make your own. I will be doing a video at some stage that will help you in crafting your own spreads. Using tarot as a therapeutic tool. Tarot aligns into therapy actually really beautifully, and the reason for that is that your tarot is essentially 78 archetypes, 78 experiences that every human being in this lifetime will experience at some stage. So from a therapeutic perspective, we can either use this in counseling, in an actual therapist's office, and how you would use that as a therapy tool is you're using those archetypes, so you're using them more from a psychological perspective. So understanding the psychology in each card. You can also bring this into alternative therapy, so you can align it with practices. It works really beautifully for Reiki. So understanding where in the person's whole being there may be blocks, what blocks are there, how we could go about removing those blocks. So just giving the therapist a little bit of additional insight. You can also align with other practices like chiropractics, acupuncture, anything where you're working with the whole body, not just the physical body. You're working with both the physical body and the subtle energetic bodies as well. So in a number of different therapeutic forms, the tarot aligns really beautifully. Modern psychology, it aligns with psychological archetypes. You can also, in those instances, with regards to psychology and counseling, tarot works really well in allowing someone a form of self-expression. And I'm going to cover self-expression a little bit more in a moment. But in a therapy session, sometimes what happens with clients is they don't know how to express themselves. They don't have a vocabulary to express, this is how I'm feeling, or this is what's going on for me. And what the tarot provides is a visual representation for multiple aspects, multiple scenarios, multiple different ways of how a person could be feeling. So to have a visual picture that says, this is how I'm feeling, this picture right here. So perhaps they're drawing out the Tower card and they're like, yeah, this is how I feel about my life right now. So that could mean that the person is feeling overwhelmed, it feels like their life is very chaotic. And you as a licensed practitioner that's being schooled in how to use that vocabulary better and attach that vocabulary for them, you have a visual representation to work off. It's now for you to just add the wording and the vocabulary to your client. And just in that in its own, having something that shows a person, like, this is how I feel, that in itself can be a really highly beneficial form of therapy. Okay, problem solving with the tarot. So when we're looking at problem solving, essentially we're not asking the cards to give us all the answers and tell us what to do. That's not what we mean by problem solving. When we're using the tarot for problem solving, what we're looking at different options, different perspectives, different ideas. Sometimes when we're stuck in a situation perhaps, and we're not really seeing like, how can I move forward with this? Why am I stuck with the situation? What's going on? How do I deal with this problem? How do I deal with this situation? What the cards do is they give you different perspectives. So what you could do in that instance for problem solving is ask for insight into understanding the problem better. And you can also then look at what different solutions do I have available? What options do I have available? What am I not seeing? What am I not thinking about? So problem solving with the tarot really just gives you this bigger, expansive picture for different options and perspectives that you could take into consideration. So remember, the cards aren't there to tell you what to do. They're not going to say, hey, this is going to solve your problem. The cards are going to say, hey, here's a couple of different options for you. Here's some different perspectives. Here's some things that you might not have considered before previously. Self-expression with the tarot. When we chatted a bit about therapy and using the cards in therapy, we spoke a bit about the cards being a visual representation. They can express how one is feeling. Sometimes, for a number of people, knowing how to express themselves authentically and clearly in a way that would make sense to other people, sometimes that's a challenge. And sometimes that's a challenge for a lot of people. And that leans into, because we're not really given tools or vocabulary to express ourselves. In a lot of instances, we're not given the space to express ourselves. We're not really taught the skill of self-expression. So what the cards do for you is they give you a visual representation of, this is what's going on for me. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on the inside. This is what's happening in my body. This is how my energy is feeling. And with the self-expression, finding a set of cards that resonates for you. So remember, self-expression isn't going to be a static thing. So having different sets to work with and to draw from can be really helpful, because sometimes the Tower card in one set of cards may not fully represent the Tower card in another set. Perhaps one set has a different visual for the Tower card and you're like, yes, that is exactly how I'm feeling. But if you had to pull a Tower card out of another set, you'd be like, yeah, not quite how I'm feeling, but sort of. So it's finding the right card that is a perfect visual representation of what's happening for you. So having different sets to draw from, and it's about looking through the set and really sitting with the visual imagery and finding one that really speaks to you and speaks to what it is that you're trying to express. Using the tarot for shadow work. The tarot is probably one of the most beneficial tools to use when doing shadow work. And obviously there is one very specific card that we can use, and that would be the Devil card, because he relates to our shadow specifically. However, we can actually use the full set as well. So what we can do is use the Devil as a starting point. It's almost a visual representation of the kind of work that we're doing, almost like a focal point for your shadow work. What you can use the other cards for from there is perhaps asking the question, where do I need to focus my shadow work right now? Where is my shadow presenting itself right now? And what could be a really helpful thing to do in that regard is to actually split your set of cards up into its 4 suits and its major arcana. And perhaps looking at your suit of pentacles specifically and asking the question, how is my shadow presenting itself in my physical body right now? How is it presenting in my work, in my career, in my finances, in my home, in my health? So understanding how your shadow is impacting your everything to do with the suit of pentacles, the things that I've just listed. Then we can have a look at how is my shadow work integrating with my emotional aspects, so your suit of cups. How is it affecting my intuitive ability, your suit of cups? How is it affecting my relationships, also ties in with that suit of cups. You're then looking at how your shadow work could be affecting your energy, how it's affecting your mental state. So you're working with the different suits. You can then expand on that, and you're now looking at your major arcana, which is the bigger soul stuff, your kind of what's going on for your authentic self. So asking that same question, how is my shadow work affecting my authenticity? How is it affecting my soul? How is it affecting my higher self? And drawing a card out and seeing which card comes up and seeing almost like your starting point for your shadow work, or for that day where it is that you need to focus your shadow work on. So perhaps with that question, you're drawing the Lover's card out, which is about establishing yourself. It's about defining what's right and wrong for you. It's about how you relate to yourself, how do you relate to others. So if your Lover's card is coming up, perhaps how you're relating to yourself, perhaps there's a lot of your shadow work coming up. So perhaps that could look something like being very self-critical, lots of self-judgment, self-loathing, self-hate, issues with self-worth. Do I give enough value? Am I worthy enough? Why do people hate me? Why don't I have good, healthy relationships? Why do I keep attracting all of this stuff? So shadow work in tarot, there's actually a lot that you can unpack by looking at each card that you're drawing intuitively to see where is my shadow work impacting me and how can I work through that shadow stuff. So what you're doing is you're then, let's keep it the Lover's card, so we understand your shadow is now impacting that aspect of yourself. What can you bring about in the positive aspect of the Lover's card to kind of ease that shadow, to understand that shadow work better? So assessing how you're relating to others, how you're relating to yourself, and perhaps that self-talk isn't forming a very healthy relationship with yourself. How can I shift that self-talk into something more positive and more self-affirming? I am worthy, I am good enough, I do offer value. Sometimes making these things daily mantras can be really helpful, but also understanding why that shadow is presenting itself. Where did those self-talk things come from? Where did that inner dialogue start? Understanding the root of your shadow work and where your shadow work has presented itself from originally is how you're going to best do that work. Other ways that you can tie in your shadow work is pulling out the aces and pulling out your full card and drawing one of those intuitively to see where is my shadow work presenting the most right now, and how can I go about working with that shadow. So there's a few options in doing shadow work with your tarot. It's one of the best tools to use, and if you are a therapist that does shadow work, I highly recommend combining the two. From a therapeutic perspective in understanding the psychological archetypes, and then drawing in how to understand the shadow aspects for those cards and working with those cards. Using the tarot as a creative trigger. So you have 78 artwork pieces at your disposal. And a lot of times, and here I'm speaking from personal experience as someone who is a creative, I'm an author, I've created 2 of my own tarot sets, and I do a number of other creative projects as well. And sometimes creativity gets a little bit stifled. We get stuck with writer's block, we have no creative muses, there's no creative inspiration, and we're just feeling like about the whole creative process, like where do I even go with this? I spend many an hour staring at a blank computer screen, thinking, what am I doing with my life right now? So using the tarot for a creative trigger, work through the set, look through your set of cards and find one that's resonating with what it is you're trying to create. What are you trying to bring to life? And having a visual art piece in front of you that's a visual representation for what it is that you're trying to create can help to shift a lot of that stagnant energy, a lot of that feeling of blockage of what am I doing here? I suck. This is horrible. I'm awful at this. And it kind of shifts a lot of that stuff. And what it can do is it can give you a different creative perspective. So perhaps for me as an author, looking at what the content is that I'm trying to write about, finding a card that aligns with what it is that I'm trying to write about, and perhaps sitting within a bit of a meditation and focusing on that card for a little bit and just sitting with that card and using that card for inspiration to kind of trigger that writing process. So use the cards for creative inspiration. Finding a very artistic set can be really helpful with that. Sometimes all you need is just a traditional Rider-Waite then that could just trigger what it is that you're needing. But definitely, the tarot works beautifully as a little bit of a creative muse. It's all about finding the right card that aligns with what it is you're trying to create that can bring about that inspiration. Using the tarot for introspection. The tarot is really beautiful for this specific purpose. And the reason for that is we obviously have all the archetypes within the cards. And these archetypes that relate to very different experiences, feelings, sensations, all the different stuff that we're going to go through in this lifetime. So working with the cards for introspection, what we're looking to do is we're working with the cards to understand what's going on the inside, what's happening for me on the inside. So that can look like asking different questions and drawing cards out intuitively, perhaps working with a very specific spread that'll work for that. Or introspection can just be for those moments where we feel very stuck, very stagnant. I don't know where to go. What do I work on next? What am I doing with my life next? Where to from here? Or just as simple as, what do I need to work on myself right now? Is there anything that I need to work on right now? And just understanding the inner aspects of yourself. The tarot really is a beautiful medium for that. As I say, you can draw cards intuitively, you can do spreads, or you can look through your whole set and find cards that are resonating with what it is that you're trying to work on. But using the cards to understand yourself better, to create a deeper level of self-awareness is such a beautiful medium to use the cards for. Using the tarot for personal growth ties in a little bit with the introspection, but we're looking specifically at how can I be better, how can I do better, how can I grow myself, and also growing different aspects of yourself. So here we're now splitting our set up into the 4 suits and the major arcana, and we're asking the question, where do I need to grow myself right now? Where do I need to focus my personal growth? And drawing your aces and your 4 card out to seeing which suit you perhaps need to work in, or maybe it's the major arcanas. The big soul stuff that you need to work through. So perhaps you draw out the Ace of Cups. So your personal growth right now is very much based in the emotional aspect, your relationships, how you're relating to others, how you're relating to yourself. And it could also be that personal growth is requiring some work on the intuitive level, because don't forget your cups relates to your intuitive side of things as well. So pulling out those different parts and having a look very specifically at where do I need to focus my growth right now can be really beneficial. Other ways to do that is to use, there's so many beautiful spreads available to you that focus around exploring personal growth, how you can achieve that, looking at blocks and challenges that might get in the way of that personal growth. So working with the spread and doing it intuitively, or just asking the question, like I said, where do I need to focus my personal growth right now? What's important right now? And then from there, working with that suit. So perhaps it's the suit of cups, then pulling out that whole suit and seeing where in the suit of cups will that personal growth come from. And perhaps you draw the 5 of cups. So we're looking at emotional challenges, we're looking at disappointments, we're looking at heartaches, we're looking at all the heavy stuff that goes on in the suit of cups. So perhaps in all toxic relationships or past experiences that were really hurtful or that you haven't fully healed from, working through that is what's going to help grow you from a personal perspective. That's where your work needs to be for the next while. Right. Soul work in the tarot. Soul work obviously aligns with tarot beautifully. And how that aligns perfectly is when we're using the journeys that we find within the tarot. So in your major arcana, a lot of us are familiar with the term the soul's journey or the fool's journey. So it's working with that journey to understand your soul better. So you're literally starting from point A, your full card, and you're working your way through that journey step by step. How is my soul relating to the aspects of the full card, to the teachings of the full card? How can my soul grow from perhaps incorporating the archetypes of the magician and the high priestess? Have I maybe got an imbalance of one or the other? Do I need to find more balance between the two? So it's taking that actual unique journey that's available to you in the tarot. It's kind of like taking a a map book with you on your journey, and the tarot is your map. So you're constantly rechecking that map to make sure that the journey you're on, that you're on track with that journey. So work with the journeys that are available to you in the cards. You have the Soul's Journey on your Major Arcana, but you do have a journey that you walk through for your Minor Arcana as well. Starting at the Ace and working your way through. So it's literally working through each card and understanding the lessons, the archetypes, the teachings for each card, and then integrating all of that into yourself, and thereby growing yourself from a soul-based perspective. Using the tarot for intuition development. So when we're working with tarot, the one thing we always need to be using is our intuition. You can't interpret the tarot without your intuition. If you are, you're likely going to be missing a whole bunch of stuff. So there's nothing wrong in referencing your guidebook and looking at the meaning of the card to understand the card better. But at the end of the day, you still want to come back to your intuitive interpretation of that card. What are you picking up from that card right now? What does that card mean for you right now? What messages or understandings are you getting from that card? Using the tarot as a tool to grow your intuition is obviously going to work really, really well. So what that can look like is your simple card-a-day readings. So you can either start from the beginning, start from the first card in the set and work your way through all 78 over a 78-day period. And simply sitting with each card each day, getting to know it, getting familiar with it. How does that card feel for you in that moment? The other way you can do that is to just draw cards intuitively and intuitively read that card. And what you want to do is you want to do this first thing in the morning. Make a note of it. Perhaps you want to journal, make some notes in your journal. And then what you do is you come back to that reading or that card that you did in the morning. You come back to that in the evening and you see how the intuitive pickup that you had the first thing in the morning, how has that played out throughout the day? How did what you were sensing for the day, how has that manifested itself? How did that come through? And what this does is it helps you to hone your intuitive abilities and refine them. So perhaps you're drawing the Ace of Pentacles and your intuitive understanding is that there's going to be some opportunities presenting themselves in the workplace today. That's what your intuition is saying. You go through the day and your boss calls you in and he fires you. And you think, well, that's not very Ace of Pentacles. What was that? And then we look at it from a different perspective of the Ace always offers a new opportunity. So perhaps your boss calling you in and getting you fired is presenting an opportunity that the next day you get a phone call and someone says, we would love to headhunt you, we'd love to have you in our company, please can you come on board? So Ace of Pentacles isn't wrong, but our initial intuitive understanding of that card was a little bit one-focused. So coming back to that reading in the evening and reassessing that reading and thinking, okay, where did I miss what was actually going on? It's also about the cards giving you that other perspective of, hey, something that could appear really like, can actually present itself as a really beautiful opportunity. So you still have an Ace of Pentacles energy coming through, and that one door is closing, offering you the option to open other doors for yourself. Or like I say, you get that miracle phone call the day after, and perhaps that next morning you pull the Ace of Swords, and that new job offer comes with, we're going to train you in this new position, we're going to further your education, we want to grow you in the company. That all fits with the Ace of Swords. So trust the intuition, trust the intuitive flow that comes through in that reading, but allow it to manifest throughout the day and see how it manifests throughout the day. So don't have expectations for that reading. So don't think, oh, I'm going to go in and get that promotion today. Go in with the understanding that life's going to offer me some weird opportunity today to grow myself in my career or my finances, and allow things to unfold as they need to. And what this does is this gets you to hone your intuitive ability better, to not kind of do it with blinkers on, but to kind of leave it a little bit more open-ended and a little bit more expansive, if you will. So other ways you can also use the tarot for intuitive development is working through each card, like I said, and getting familiar with each card. So really just taking in the imagery, taking in the symbology, and feeling what that all means for you right now. What is the Ace of Pentacles feeling like for you right now? What does it mean for you right now? And making note of any thoughts that come through, feelings that come through, sensations in the body. Perhaps you're seeing some stuff, maybe you hear some things, maybe you get a smell of something that shouldn't be around, that you realistically shouldn't be smelling. You're making notes of all of those things so that you can come back to it at a later stage and say, okay, how did what I picked up this morning, how did it make sense to my day? How can I tie this all in? And what that does is it gets you more comfortable with how your intuition talks to you, how your intuition works for you. So if each morning you're working through your cards and you keep getting visions, you keep seeing things in your mind's eye, you can then start to become comfortable with the fact that your intuition talks to you in the form of visuals, mental visuals. Perhaps it talks to you as an inner dialogue. Perhaps there's words coming through that you're hearing or that you're listening to. So what this does is it helps you really tune into yourself and how your intuition actually works for you.